was very good, Pat. You got a little maudlin there at the end, but... Our next speaker, when I approached him about addressing the group tonight, and asked him if he would mind, he said, "Mine? I've been practicing for 5 years for this." Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Mike Kildea.
I'm not going to say anything about Jim tonight for two reasons. One reason is that when Bob called, he said that they were going to have a roast and asked me to speak. And I said, "Bob, what do you want me to do?" And he said, "I want you to just make up a long list of insults and read them." I made up the list, and it's the first time I'd ever wished I'd had a personal computer. So I cleaned out the best stuff, and I sat down with my wife, Linda, and I read it to her, and he says, "You know, I don't want to disappoint you, but you've already said all this stuff to his face before." The other reason I don't want to say anything about him tonight is because Joan has been over there making mental notes on those that are laughing the loudest. But I have something to say about something else. In the meantime, with the kids up here, it reminded me of a story that I completely forgot. Jim and I and another guy went on a hunting trip, and it was a deer hunting trip, and we were sitting around at night talking, and one of the guys was saying, "You know, I've got a boy that's going to be a teenager next year." And Jim said, "Oh, God." He said, "Why do you say that?" He said, "Well, I've had a lot of experience." Well, after the hunting trip was over, we went to a little town, Bedford, Pennsylvania, Virginia. And there was a beautiful gift shop in there. And as soon as we walked in the door, Jim said, "I've got to have that." And I said, "What is it?" And right in front of as you walk in, was a big sign that says, "Hire a teenager now while they still know everything." I'd forgotten all about it. But anyway, I'm not going to say anything about Jim, but I am going to say something about that dog Bob was talking about earlier. He's been constantly bragging about it. It's a bird dog, and as you know, bird dogs, their job is to point the pheasant and then wait for its master, whoever's hunting, to arrive, and you flush the bird and shoot it. And Jim has constantly and always been bragging about the lineage of the dog and everything. And so, because he felt so strongly about the dog, I commissioned an artist to do a sculpture of the dog on point. The man told me that he would have to see the dog on point to do a good job, because every dog has its individual style. I told him it's impossible, it's a surprise, there's no way, you know, it would tip him off and everything else. So he said, "Well, I have to have a photograph of this dog on point." So I called all of his hunting partners, Bob and Dave Ducey, everybody, and no one could locate a photograph of this dog on point. I went back to the artist and I told him of the dilemma. And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Talk to some of the guys that have hunted with him and get an eyewitness to describe what the dog looked like on point." And I went back to all his hunting partners, and no one had witnessed this event. So I went back to the artist, and I said, I told him what had happened, but Jim had insisted the dog does point. So what we have here is this is an artist's conception of what it would look like should Jim's dog ever point in public.